I'm back with another video. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all know who Breonna Taylor is, right? I'm pretty sure we all know at this point. And for those who don't know, even though that's highly unlikely, Breonna Taylor is a woman who was killed by police officers in her home while she was unarmed. The circumstances of the situation are still kind of iffy because there's two sides to the story. It's like anything else in life. One side is that Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend was innocent, and the cops grabbed the wrong house. And when they entered, uh, her boyfriend fired, thinking they were intruders, and that led to her death. The other story is that her boyfriend was a drug dealer, and I guess some way somehow there was a body in Breonna Taylor's car a while back, even though that makes no sense whatsoever. Because if it was a car, if her car had a body in it, she would have no doubt been arrested, like on the spot. Right? It does make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, her boyfriend was a drug dealer, and because of that, the police did a no knock warrant, entered her home, and because of that, the boyfriend fired at them, and the cops fired back, resulting in Breonna Taylor's death. Now, in both circumstances, she is unarmed, just so you know. And not only that, but one of the police officers accidentally fired into another home where a family lived in. Fortunately, no one got hit. But to my knowledge, to this day, he has yet to be charged with that. Right? And real quick, in my opinion, in both cases, to me it's manslaughter. Right? Because when you think about it, in both situations, Breonna Taylor was unarmed. That's the only thing that we know for sure. Right? She was unarmed, and due to the gunfire, she was hit and killed. Right? And I honestly don't understand why no one was actually charged for that. Like, no one was charged for manslaughter. If it's an accident or not, it's still a crime. And just because an officer did it doesn't mean he should be immune to those charges, right? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, that's because they're police officers. They should be immune to what applies to basically everyone else. It doesn't make a lot of sense. That's just my opinion. Another thing, right? People people often would use the excuse that just because her boyfriend was supposedly a drug dealer, supposedly, no one knows for sure. I mean, we have very conflicting evidence, so either or. But because her boyfriend was a drug dealer, and she knew, assuming, I don't know. But either way, what happened to her was basically her fault. It was her fault for getting killed because she was with him. And while I understand part of it, that doesn't make it right, right? That doesn't make it. That doesn't make it okay for a cop to get away with manslaughter. It doesn't make it okay whatsoever. Because again, whether that it's her fault or not, a crime was still committed, regardless of the circumstances. And to me, it's also kind of crazy how whenever something bad happens to a person, like let's say George Floyd, people say that just because George Floyd was a criminal, he deserved to die. Just because he was a criminal. And not only is that blatant dehumanizing only served to help support police officers, it's downright disturbing the length people will go to just to make a certain situation better than it actually is. Right? Regardless if George Floyd was, regardless if he was a criminal or not, or regardless of it's a similar situation with Breonna Taylor, regardless of that, it shouldn't really matter. I had a girlfriend, right? Let's call her 5. I'm gonna call her 5. No, wait, I actually mentioned her a while back in my other video. But I had a girlfriend, right, a while back. And when the George Floyd happened, we talked about it, and she believed that what happened to George Floyd was right, just because he was a criminal, and that he supposedly held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. Right? I'm not defending that. Let's get that out of the way now. What he did is downright awful. I'm not going to defend that. Oops. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. I'm not going to defend that, right? I'm not. That's pretty damn bad. And that shouldn't have happened in the first place. Right? But just because that happened to that person, she believed that he deserved to die, and that the woman who he had at gunpoint was relieved. Now, in my opinion, not only is that still wrong, it's kind of fucked up for her to assume what the woman thinks, right? I mean, she's not her. We have no idea who that woman was. I mean, of course, there's probably a report about her, but about the incident with her name on her or something like that. But still, personality-wise, we have no fucking clue. I mean, for all we know, she could have just forgave him and moved on with her life, or maybe not, and she's currently dealing with it now. I don't know. That's the point I'm trying to make. We have no idea, right? And yeah, so to me, that was pretty a lame excuse. That was kind of sad, actually. It wasn't really a good argument, in my opinion. But other than that, like, to me, it's like a tactic. It's so, like, imagine right. I remember this. So a while back, there's a 5-year-old who was killed. No, I actually don't know the exact age, but there was a kid, and he was killed by a police officer. Why? I forgot, but either way, that sounds pretty bad, right? So while I'm listening to the news on said information and gathering what I can, I was going through the comments, and one comment was like, "God bless" or something like that. But he said, "We should wait until we get the full story and not assume." What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? A kid was shot and killed. What possible explanation can make this all okay? I mean, granted, I don't know what exactly happened. I forgot. It was like a long time ago, right? I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in one of my old videos. But in my opinion, regardless, if the kid was killed either due to panicking, which is totally understandable. Again, he is a child. Or due to the officer's aim or anything like that, it's still pretty bad. And the officer is still should be charged with manslaughter. Why? Because if I did such a thing, I would have been charged with manslaughter and sent to jail. 9 times out of 10. Right? Officers shouldn't be immune to what laws apply to everyone else. It makes no sense. That's why people are so angry at cops and why they don't trust cops, because of things like this. I could be understanding. The law is there for a reason, and everyone, now I do mean everyone, should follow said laws. It's that simple. I don't understand why people want to make it more complicated than that. Like, it's that simple. But, regardless, today, we're going to read an article, and it reads, officers who killed Breonna Taylor should not have fired their weapons. Internal investigator finds. We're going to read some of this, and we're going to try to figure out what he means by that. And by we, I mean I'm going to read it. Because I'm pretty sure no one's actually going to take the time this time we read this if I just scroll down and not say a word. At least not read it along with me out loud. It makes no sense. Anyways, let's get started. 2 Louisville police officers who shot, struck, and killed Breonna Taylor never should have fired their weapons. A department investigator found a conclusion that the force's upper brass partly rejected. Although the officers had a right to protect themselves when Taylor's boyfriend fired at them, the circumstances made it unsafe to take a single shot. In response, Sergeant Andrew Meyer wrote in a December 4th memo summarizing his investigation. That's what you get, bro. The cat jumped on my suitcase and it fell on her. Although the officers had a right to protect. Oh no, I'll write this. Wait. Okay, I'm right here. Taylor and her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, were in darkness at the far end of her apartment. At the far end of her apartment hallway. When the officers broke down the door, both were wearing all black. Walker moved quickly to hide from the bullets, while Taylor froze in place. I get that. It's like, there's fight, flight, and freeze. Like, that's like, people actually don't know it's actually free instead of two. People just think it's fight or flight. No, it's fight, flight, or freeze. Not a lot of people know that. All of that happened within seconds, Meyer wrote, while the officers experienced fear, tunnel vision, and adrenaline. This, Meyer concluded, is how the wrong person was shot and killed. Facts. The newly released records, first reported by the Journal, so that I probably pronounced that wrong. So that then Chief Yvette Gentry partly rejected the investigators' findings by both officers violated the department's use of deadly force. Policy. Okay, hold up. We'll try it again. Rejected the investigators' findings that both officers violated the department's use of deadly force policy during the incident on March 13, 2020. Although Gentry agreed that now fire detective Miles Cosgrove breached the rule. She absolved Sergeant Jonathan Matley. These fucking names, bro. I can't pronounce it. Gentry terminated Cosgrove, who the FBI found fired the fatal shot in another officer in July. Matley has announced his intent to retire June 1st after 2 decades with the department. Now a civilian, Gentry defended her decision to extradite Matt Lee after considering Meyer's recommendation and those of his two supervisors. Meyer's Lieutenant Jeff Artman agreed with his findings, while Special Investigations Commander Jamie disagreed in part. I can't pronounce that, bro. Squad? I don't know. I fired the people that some believe should have been suspended. I reprimanded people some thought should have been extradited, and I overturned what we believe was not appropriate for the situation. Gentry told WTVQ in a statement Friday. Okay, there we go. I did what I knew to be right, appropriate, and sound. It really wasn't. I think that was a dumb decision, and I think it should have gone completely differently. It was not sound in my opinion. I don't know what she was using to come to that conclusion. I'm not experienced. I'm not really experienced in like being a police officer and stuff like that. So I have no idea. I'm not gonna act like I know better. But in my opinion, it sounds completely wrong, and it should have been done differently. An attorney for Cosgrove did not respond to a message seeking comment on the internal investigation, while a lawyer for, I'm just calling him Matt declined to comment. Simon is go to disturb. Okay, skip. The killing of Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency room technician, during a drug raid, becoming a rally cry last year against what many saw as unjustified use of force by police. Yes, it's police. Alright. Especially against Black Americans in April. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. The Justice Department announced a wide-ranging civil probe into whether the Louisville police had committed systematic abuse with little oversight. No one faces state-level charges in Taylor's death, although a federal investigation is ongoing. Former Officer Brett Hankston, the third officer to sue at Taylor's apartment, has pleaded not guilty to wanton endangerment charges related to bullets that he allegedly fired into a neighborhood unit. This is the guy I was talking about. The internal police investigation did not examine his actions because he was fired in June. Okay, whatever sense that makes, I don't know. It concluding that Matt was wrong to sue on the night of the raid. Meyer wrote that Sergeant Clooney knew someone else was standing next to Walker, who had shot Matt with a shot fired from his legally owned gun. Walker has said he did not know when he fired that, but people who had burst in were officers. While Matt has said he believed Walker was probably aware. That I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I mean, they did say it was pitch black. And once they announced themselves, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know about that. But to me, it seems like, because there's a video, an interview with the officer and Walker. And the officer, he seemed kind of nervous to me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He didn't really seem calm. Walker, he seemed pretty calm. And, actually, I'm gonna show you guys in a minute. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'm gonna do like a quick YouTube search. If I can't find it, I'm just gonna end the video. It was not safe for Matt to return fire, Meyer wrote, because there was a true significant risk of hitting someone who did not pose a threat. Matt should have considered Taylor's safety, the investigator added. So there you go. The cops should have never fired in the first place. Unless they were defending themselves. Now, that's a whole nother story I'm not going to get into. Cosgrove, meanwhile, fired 16 shots while without identifying where the threat was coming from, Meyer wrote. In interviews with investigators, Cosgrove said he saw a shadowy figure and flashing white light. Okay. He was unsure immediately after the shooting whether Walker was the one who had shot at them. The nigga was unsure? What the fuck? He was unsure immediately after the shooting whether Walker was the one. Okay. Alright. This is some bullshit. He never should have fired back without knowing that his specific target was a threat, Meyer said. He clearly didn't. He clearly did not. Meyer wrote that Cosgrove and Matthews have taken cover instead of engaging with Walker. They and Hankskin fired a total of 32 shots. In reality, Meyer said none of the shots were safe. But officers could have not safely taken the shots given these circumstances, Meyer concluded. The officers did not safely take the shots, and Miss Taylor was struck and killed. Artman Meyer's supervisor agreed with his findings. Cosgrove and Matt broke the department's deadly force policy. Fuck, bro. Come on now. When they saw Taylor, who posed no threat, Artman wrote in a memo. Cosgrove also failed to continually assess where a threat still existed, Artman added. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Deploying a stricter interpretation of the policy, Artman boss disagreed that Matt had acted wrong. The officer's actions should be considered through the lens of what he reasonably believed after being shot himself. This nigga wrote. Considering the situation that way, this nigga said Matt identified our threat and used force against it. Gentry took this nigga in her December 27th summary of the investigation. She expressed agreement with his findings that Matt acted reasonably by aiming at the person with the gun, even if the shots hit the wrong person. Although Mr. Walker was not struck and Miss Taylor was mortally wounded, Gentry wrote, echoing this nigga, it can be reasoned that microseconds can significantly change outcomes between when a trigger is squeezed at a target and the bullet reaches its final position. So the nigga was aiming at the nigga, but he missed and struck Taylor instead. Even though he was clearly aiming. You know what? Alright, bro. Alright. So, what did we learn today? While I'm not going to say the officers were not right to defend themselves, they were if Walker shot first. But again, if they broke into the apartment unannounced and Walker's firearm was clearly illegal, he had the right to defend himself. Because they broke into his home unannounced. If they did announce themselves, that's a different story. Other than that, I feel like it's still manslaughter to me. It's still manslaughter. Other choices should have been made in that particular case, mostly ending with officers going to jail, but since they're wearing the blue badge, they did not go to jail. Instead, one of them got fired. And stuff like that. I don't even know. I feel like at the end of the day, people just not using their brains. Like, honestly, makes no sense. Makes no sense. Oh well, ain't nothing I can do about it, bro. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I'm just sharing my opinion on the subject. Anyways, guys, with that being said, I thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.